Restoring Illinois to greatness. This is Illinois Rising, presented by the Illinois Opportunity Project and hosted by AM 560's Dan Proft.
Dan back with Pat on this edition of Rising and property taxes. We talk about it all the time here. Focus a lot of time on Chicago Metro for obvious reasons, but we've also made the point this is not limited to Chicago Metro. There is no escape from government slow motion taking of your home, no matter where you live in Illinois. So we looked at Metro East, another population center in the state, and it has the added benefit or detraction, depending on your perspective on this argument, of being right across the border from St. Louis, from Missouri. So St. Clair County, just a story to illustrate the issue. Accountant Andrew Davidson is trying to sell his custom-built 4-bedroom, 4-bath home in Belleville, 4,300 square feet on an acre lot. He's asking $600,000. It's the most expensive home for sale in Golf Course subdivision on the southeast side of Belleville. His property tax bill is $17,900, $18,000 a year on $600,000 on a home he's asking $600,000 for. It's up 42%, that tax bill, from 5 years ago. And the across the border comparison, putting 20% down, get a 30-year mortgage. The buyer of Mr. Davidson's home can expect to pay $37.59 per month, $22.66 in principal, and $14.93 in property taxes. And it won't be long before the property taxes exceed the principal and interest on his mortgage payment with the trajectory of tax increases. That's more than a buyer would pay for a 25% more expensive $750,000 home across the river in Crestwood, Missouri, where the tax bill is less than half, $8,000 to his $18,000, and the total monthly payments would be $200 less, and that gap would widen. It's the same story in poor communities. Actually, it's worse. Again, national average is it's just over 1% property tax as a percentage of home value. Cahokia, East St. Louis, poor communities in St. Clair County. Cahokia, 5.45%. East St. Louis, 4.53%. 4 and 5 times the national average in poor, lower-income communities. And then you go all the way up the register, and you're still getting fleeced as compared to what you can do across the border in the suburbs of St. Louis. And it's the story throughout Illinois. And it's my admonition in this campaign that I'm running. Perhaps some of you have heard the advertisements on radio, seen them online. The SaveYourHomeNow.org is the website, SaveYourHomeNow.org. Just telling people stories. These are people we've talked to, people that have called in to share their stories about what's happening to their home equity, how it is being dissipated by runaway spending, that is necessitated by blank check local government. And to me, November 6th is not a referendum on Trump. It's not a referendum on Rauner. It's a referendum on you keeping your home or the government taking it. It is you force them out or they force you out of the state.
So your example of the $600,000 home and the one across the way in St. Louis, that's $750,000, is a perfect example of how this impacts wealth and value and how government's policy impacts economic growth, right? What's happening here is the wealth of that person in a $600,000 house, which should be $750,000 or $800,000, is that $200,000 delta, $150,000 delta, whatever it is of affordability, is basically being taken by the government.
Yes.
It's being taken in taxes in part, and then it's being taken in growth, right? So it's partially it's a theft, and then part of it is just keeping their boot on the neck of the person who's investing. And when you do this across the board in real estate, which is the number one, Dan, because I was in this industry and still am for 20 years, it's the number one force multiplier of economic growth, 7-to-7 multiplier, because all of the different industries that it impacts. This is how a state goes to die, and this is how its surrounding states grow. And you can see the differential between Missouri, between Indiana, places all over the place compared to us, because of this. And if it doesn't turn around, that $600,000 house is going to be worth $500,000 and on and on and on.